I should get the polished andesite block. Easier than laying the double slab. Right. Okay, well, one thing at a time. Uh... There. What is that? Right. One layer at a time. Well, here maybe we can just do this bit while I'm here. Hold up. This goes... Alright, let me think about that. Next, let's do this. Like, it's not that hard. It's just that, you know, you have several different slopes joining together, and it's easier if you gradually line them up from all the different directions. If that makes sense. That's not right. Right. How's that looking? Curious. I mean, the slope roof and the Middle Eastern columns, they kind of look out of place when you put them together. because, you know, Middle Eastern desert architecture, and then the sloped roof presumes there's rain. But that's really what happened when the Moors conquered Iberia. The Moorish conquest of Iberia. Like, they would build their Islamic architecture in Spain, where there is a bit of rain, and so they have to like build roofs that accommodate the rain, but also it's architecture that originated from the desert. So the Alhambra is like this. It's got like sloped roofs on like a Islamic architecture base. So there's a little bit of strangeness there, which is very interesting, architecturally speaking. It's like when you mix two different things together. And in fact, there's a lot of this stuff around the southern, well, southern Europe / northern Mediterranean, like the northern shore of the Mediterranean. There are bits in Sicily that are kind of like this as well. Whoa, what's going on? Okay, this doesn't go that far. And of course in other parts of the world. Less charming is Australia. Where the British built kind of like a hybrid, I guess, in India. So India and Australia. So the British Empire came to these like hot countries, hot humid countries. I guess Australia's not that humid. It's more like dry heat. Anyway, as the British Empire expanded around the world, they would have to adapt the British architecture to the local climate, because like British architecture, proper British architecture, it just really didn't work in the hot climates. It would, like, everything would overheat. So that's also interesting architecturally, having to like adapt. Although in the case of the British Empire, it's adapting cold weather architecture to hot climates, whereas with the Islamic expansion into Spain, it was adapting desert architecture to a slightly wetter climate. And thus here we are. We have Islamic columns and arches and really like courtyard architecture with sloped roofs, which is really it's kind of weird. Islamic gardens, I think I've said this before elsewhere, tend to be like, they didn't have walled gardens because, you know, in the desert, or, you know, at least in hotter climates, you kind of need to protect the plants from the dry wind and the extreme heat, right? You kind of want to contain the moisture within the garden. Whereas, you know, further north in Europe, you wouldn't really put your garden in a wall unless there was like really delicate plants. but mostly like the plants would survive out in the wild better than they would survive inside the walls. Because it's a temperate climate. It's good for plants. Whereas, you know, in the desert, the plants would survive inside the walls better than they would outside in the desert heat. That's the walled garden in hotter climates that you wouldn't really find in wet climates. Although, you know, the opposite is true as well. As like you further north, you would like build greenhouses to grow desert plants or tropical plants. In a cold climate, you need to build a greenhouse. A similar idea. You need to protect your plants. Alright, what happens here? That's the peak. Okay, so it just goes diagonally up from here. Oops. Wait a minute. That would go there. So slightly higher in the middle. And then the rest of this is pretty low. Alright, continuing on. So there's nothing too special about this roof. It just follows the shape of the structure below. Yep. that. And that. Maybe I have a lot of lanterns. Like, too many lanterns. Extravagant. An extravagant number of lanterns. Yeah, let's do that. Back in the old days, when lights were expensive, I guess lights are still expensive kind of these days. LEDs are pretty cheap now. But just like lamp oil is something that not really everyone could afford to burn a whole lot of lamp oil every night for no reason. Okay, that's the roof. Let me like double check. Is this correct? It's correct, right? It's too bad the ambient occlusion is so weird on the slabs. It's kind of stripy because of the ambient occlusion. Alright, there's the roof. Long corridors with columns lining both sides. I can put a slab on top of this, I think. Granite, polished granite slab. That does not cut the redstone. Just open this up. So you can step down here. In fact, I can just like move that there. Alright, for the sake of architecture, this is the actual train station. And then this is decorative stuff. Just put a bit of a ramp here. Maybe I shouldn't ramp. No, let's ramp. And I can use steeper stairs. But ramp's also fine. Stone brick slab.